What's going on, Fear and Fiction family? We are back at it. Today, we're going to dive into some Juneteenth horror stories. I know Juneteenth is coming up very soon. I received one story, decided to go down the internet rabbit hole, and this is what I found. Now let's get into it. I was under a car, and I could still hear them. Not echoes, not distance. The shots were still going, and I was flat on the ground in a parking lot in unincorporated Willowbrook on a Sunday morning in June, pressed against the concrete under somebody's vehicle, and I was thinking about my daddy. That is what my brain did in that moment. My daddy had been gone for 3 weeks, and it was Father's Day weekend, and the reason I had come out at all was to not be alone with that. My cousin said, "Come out, it'll do you good. It's a Juneteenth celebration. People every year come to the same lot, and it's always been fine." It had been fine. The previous 2 years, the same spot, same parking lot off Route 83, same crowd from the neighborhood. My cousin was right. I had been right to come. For about 2 hours, it was exactly what I needed. Music, people, something to be part of, something that felt like we were celebrating something real together, which Juneteenth is. It is real. The celebration is real. Then a fight broke out near the south end of the lot. I heard it before I saw it. Voices rising, a scuffle, the specific sound of a crowd shifting its weight away from something. I was moving before I thought about moving, and then the shot started. I have tried to count how many times since. It was at least a minute of shooting. More than 100 shots in the first 15 seconds. One witness told the news later, and I believe it because I was there and I could not count them. They were that fast. They were that constant. It was not one person with a gun, it was multiple, and they were firing into the crowd. I went down. I don't remember deciding to go down. I was under a vehicle. Before I processed that, I had moved. The concrete was cold. I could hear people running, screaming, falling. I was trying to make myself as flat as possible, trying to make myself not exist in the space I was taking up, and I was thinking about my daddy. I don't know why. That is what my brain went to. Maybe because I had almost talked myself out of coming tonight, and he would have told me to go. He always told me to get out of the house. I don't know how long I was under that car. It felt like an hour. The shot stopped. Not gradually, just stopped. And then there was a different kind of sound. The sound of people figuring out what had just happened. People calling for each other. Someone screaming a name over and over. I got out from under the car. My leg was hurt. I didn't know it was hurt until I stood up and it didn't work right. The first thing I did was look for my cousin. That is the part I can't explain to people who weren't there. The moment after is not panic the way you would think. It is specific. It is a list. Find my cousin. Find my phone. Figure out where I'm hurt. Everything else comes later. In the moment, after something like that, you become very focused and very quiet inside yourself, and you look for your people. I found her. She was okay. I was not okay in the way I thought I was okay, but I didn't know that yet. I know that now. I know it every time I try to close my eyes at night and hear it again. I know it every time someone's phone goes off near me and my body responds before my brain does. I know it in my leg, which is better now than it was, which is something I hold on to. We had been celebrating Juneteenth. We had been in a parking lot on a June night, doing what people have been doing in that same spot for years, which is gathering and being together and marking the day. We were doing that when it happened. I still don't have words for what it means that it happened on that night specifically. I don't know if I ever will, but I know my daddy would have told me to go, and I know I was right to be there, and I know that whatever happened in that parking lot does not belong to Juneteenth. Juneteenth belongs to us, the way it has always belonged to us, and no parking lot and no night, and none of what happened that morning can change what the day means. I just can't close my eyes without hearing it yet. That's where I am right now. She bought nachos right in front of me, smiled, paid, said thank you, walked back into the crowd. 2 minutes later, the shooting started and she was gone by the end of the night. I don't know how to write that sentence any other way. I've tried. I'm part of a community group that does fundraisers, and we had a booth at the Juneteenth festival in Round Rock, Texas. Old Settlers Park, free event, family celebration, ran from 5 in the afternoon to midnight. This was a good event. The city put it on with a nonprofit. There was music. There were kids everywhere. There were people of all ages, just out celebrating something real together. I was behind my booth selling food, and I was happy. That is the accurate description of how I felt. I was happy. The woman who bought nachos was maybe in her 30s. She was with people, friends or family, I couldn't tell. She was the kind of person who makes eye contact and means it when she thanks you. That sounds like a small thing, but I remember it specifically because it's not small, that kind of attention. She bought her nachos and went back toward the music, and I watched her go, and then I had another customer and I moved on. The shots came from the direction of where two groups had been arguing near the vendor area. I heard the argument before I heard the shots. Raised voices, the specific sound of something about to go wrong. And then it went wrong. The crowd moved all at once the way a crowd does when something like that happens. It does not run in one direction. It disperses in every direction simultaneously, and it sounds like a wave of sound, voices and feet, and the specific noise of people who do not know which way safety is. I was behind my booth and I dropped. I heard children screaming. That is the part I cannot get away from. There were children at this festival. The youngest person hurt was 10 years old. I did not know that until later, but I heard children's voices in the crowd during the shooting, and I knew what that meant, and I could not do anything about it from where I was. When it stopped, I came out from behind my booth and I helped where I could. The police officers and firefighters who were already on site were there immediately, applying tourniquets, doing CPR, doing everything right as fast as any people could have done it. That mattered. I want to say that because it is true. But two people were gone who had come to a free festival on Juneteenth and had nothing to do with any argument or any fight or any of what started it. Neither of them. Both of them were people who came to celebrate and got caught in the space between two groups who couldn't put whatever it was down for one night. I looked for the woman who bought nachos the next day. I went through everything I could find. I found her. She was one of the two. I have not set up a booth at an outdoor event since then. I tell myself I'll do it again eventually, maybe next year. My group needs the fundraising and the community needs what we do, and I know that. I know it in my head. I just keep seeing her smile at me and walk back into the crowd. I keep seeing her walk back into the crowd, and I can't stop it. The children who were hurt that night have recovered. The man who was charged with the shooting was 18 years old. The investigation said it came from a feud between two groups. Two people who had nothing to do with any of it are gone. That is the whole thing. That is what I have to hold. We had been celebrating for 3 hours before my cousin came and found me at the grill. She didn't say it loud. She leaned close and said it low, the way you say something you don't want the kids to hear. She said, "Keep everything calm, don't react. The police are on their way. Somebody called." I want to tell you what the backyard looked like before that moment, because I think it matters for you to know what we were doing when the call was made. We had 2 grills going. My uncle had been on the big one since noon, and the smell of it had been coming over the fence into the neighborhood for hours. We had a speaker on the back porch playing a Juneteenth playlist my daughter had put together. Al Green into Marvin into something newer, the way those playlists do when somebody who loves music makes them. My nieces and nephews and my own kids were running laps around the yard the way children run when there's nowhere specific to be and the whole afternoon belongs to them. We had a table with the flag on it, the Juneteenth flag, and a poster my daughter had made about what the day meant. We had been talking about it all afternoon, the 905 days, what it took, what it means that we are still here celebrating it. That is what we were doing when the neighbor made the call. I don't know which neighbor. I have my ideas. We have lived in this house for 11 years, and we have had cookouts before, and nobody has ever called before, but this year was the first year we put the flag out front, and I'm drawing my own conclusions about the timing. My cousin told me, and I nodded, and I turned back to the grill. That is what I did. I turned back to the grill and I flipped what needed to be flipped, and I did not change my face. What I did inside is a different story. The squad car came around 10 minutes later. 2 officers. They parked in front of the house and came around to the back gate, which was open. One of them said they had received a noise complaint. He was not unkind about it. He was doing his job, and he was not unkind. I know what it looked like when that car pulled up. I watched it happen through my own eyes, and I know what it looked like. The music got lower. The adults who had seen the car first started gathering the children without saying why. My son, who was 13, looked at me across the yard, and I gave him a specific look that he knew, and he nodded, and he moved toward his younger cousins. We have had the conversation. We have had it more than once. He knew what to do. The officers talked to me and my husband for a few minutes. They said they had to respond to the complaint. We said we understood. We said we were having a family celebration for Juneteenth. One of them looked at the flag on the table and then looked back at me and said, "Have a good evening," and they left. We turned the music back up. My uncle went back to the grill. The kids went back to running. My daughter came and stood next to me and she said, "Are we okay?" And I said yes, and I meant it. But I also sat with something for the rest of the afternoon that I am still sitting with now. We were celebrating Juneteenth. We were in our own backyard. We were playing music and feeding our family and talking to our children about what freedom means and what it costs and why we mark it every year. And somebody in our neighborhood looked at that and made a call. On Juneteenth, on the day that is specifically about the moment, freedom was finally enforced. Somebody looked at us enforcing our own freedom, celebrating it in our own space, with our own family, with our own flag on the table, and decided to make a call. I am not a person who cries easily. I cried in the bathroom that evening after everyone had gone home, not from fear, from the specific weight of what that meant. The holiday is about freedom being delayed, about people being told the law didn't apply to them yet, about celebration being something you had to fight for, and we are still doing it. Not in the same way, not to the same degree, but we are still in a world where someone can look at a Juneteenth cookout in a backyard and decide that something about it needs to be interrupted, where the response is a squad car in front of your house, where your 13-year-old son sees the car and knows exactly what to do without being told. We went back outside after I had my moment in the bathroom. We had strawberry cake. We stayed until it got dark. We did not pack up early. We did not let anyone take the afternoon from us. But I need people to understand what it costs to do that, to hold the celebration and the weight of that moment in the same afternoon, to smile at your kids while you are carrying something they are too young to fully carry yet. We celebrate it anyway. Every year we celebrate it anyway. That's what Juneteenth is. The lights came on around 11 at night on a 2-lane highway in the middle of nowhere in particular. I was driving to a Juneteenth celebration, family reunion type thing, couple hours away, combination cookout and remembrance that my father's side of the family has been doing for years. I had left later than I planned, and I was on a rural stretch I did not know well. 2 lanes, trees on both sides, no other cars in either direction for the last 20 minutes. The kind of dark that is specific to certain parts of the South at night. The kind where your headlights feel like they are barely making a dent. Blue and red. In the rear view. I want to be accurate about what happened in my body in that moment. Not panic, something slower and more specific than panic. A kind of settling. The way water settles when you stop moving it. Everything got very still and very clear. I knew what to do because I had been taught what to do. My father taught me. His father had taught him. We have this knowledge in my family, the way some families have recipes, passed down, refined over generations, tested against reality. Put your hazards on. Find a lit area if you can. Slow down gradually. Don't make sudden movements. When you stop, put the car in park. Turn the interior light on. Put both hands on the wheel where they can be seen. Do not reach for anything without saying out loud what you are reaching for and why. I did all of it. Hazards, speed down, interior light on. Both hands on the wheel, 10 and 2, fingers spread so they were visible. I was wearing a dress shirt. I had changed before I left because we were going to a family gathering, and I wanted to look right. I remember thinking that the dress shirt was probably good, that it might help communicate something, that I was calculating what a dress shirt might communicate to whoever was about to walk up to my window, on a rural road, in the dark, on Juneteenth. I thought about my father, about all the times he had made this same calculation, about his father, who had made it in a different era, on worse odds, about the fact that I was driving to celebrate the day that was supposed to mean none of us had to make these calculations anymore. The officer came to the window. He was younger than I expected. He said I had been driving without my rear registration light. I said I did not know that, and I would get it taken care of. He asked for my license and registration. I told him where my registration was before I reached for it. I kept my voice level and my movement slow, and I said each thing before I did it. He went back to his car. I sat on that highway for 11 minutes. I know it was 11 minutes because I watched the clock. The math of 11 minutes on a rural highway in the dark is different from the math of 11 minutes anywhere else. I thought about my wife, who did not know I had been pulled over because I had not called her because calling her would require me to reach for my phone. I thought about what she would feel if the next call she got was not from me. I thought about my kids. I thought about the cookout I was driving toward, about my father's people, about what the day meant to them, about the version of freedom they were celebrating that my grandfather never fully got to live. I thought about all of it sitting on the side of a rural highway in a dress shirt with my hands on the wheel. The officer came back and said everything checked out and to get the light fixed. He said, "Have a good night." I said, "Thank you." He walked back to his car. I sat there for another minute after he pulled away before I moved. I needed that minute. My hands were still on the wheel, and I needed to let something settle back to where it belonged. Then I pulled back onto the highway, and I drove to the celebration. When I got there, my aunt came out to meet me in the driveway, and she said, "You made it." And I said, "I made it." And she hugged me the way she hugs me, and I let her. I did not tell her about the stop that night. I told my father later, quietly, while we were sitting on the porch after everyone else had gone in. He listened to the whole thing without interrupting. When I finished, he nodded once. He said, "Every generation, same road." He didn't mean the highway. He meant all of it. The calculation, the hands on the wheel, the dress shirt, the 11 minutes, the things you carry to a celebration, and the things you leave on the side of a dark road because you have to. The fact that you show up anyway, that you always show up anyway. Every generation, same road. I heard my grandfather in that. I heard all of them. I drove to Juneteenth on that road and I made it, and the celebration was real and we were together and it was everything it was supposed to be. I'm telling you that because I need you to know that part too. We were together and it was real. But I'm also telling you about the 11 minutes because those belong to the story too. They always have. You made it. I want to thank you for watching the entire video. Please like, share, subscribe, hype the video. Please tell me what your favorite story was. Again, don't forget to send me some story ideas. And also, if you have more Juneteenth stories. Until the next time.